Well, hello, Stacey Murphy here with a quick video on preparing your planting bed outdoors. So this is assuming that you have already designated your outdoor growing location. You have a planting bed or you have an area in the ground, and you're going to add the nutrients that you need to grow the food that you want to grow for the year. So the first thing, of course, is to add some compost since we are growing organically. And here I have a giant bag. I'm going to lift it very carefully, so I'm going to squat, keeping my back as straight as possible. I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to carry it around like a baby. This is going to help me protect my back when you're carrying around heavy things. You can always get somebody else to do this for you if you have a bad back. And I'm just going to dump this whole bag on my bed because I'm going for 2 inches of compost across my whole bag. I'm going to open the bag by using my trowel. You could use scissors, whatever you like. What I'm going for is a line across the whole bag to make it easy to dump it out. And the reason I do this is so that I'm doing as little work as possible with my body. I don't want to have to lift the bag up. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tip it over. I'm going to dump some out. I'm going to drag it backwards. I'm going to tip it over, drag it backwards until it gets so light that I can actually start to pick it up very easily without hurting my back. And I'm going to dump the rest out. Now, you'll notice that I'm using an entire bag on a bed that is about 4 foot by 8 feet wide. And so I'm putting down approximately 2 inches of compost across the whole bed. And here I'm going to flatten it, basically using my trowel. You can use whatever tool is handy. I like to grab whatever's handy. I don't like to have too many tools around. I just make it really easy on myself to use the same tools for multiple things. Next step is going to be to add some nutrients. These are worm castings, and same thing with this bag. I'm basically taking a look at the best place to open it. I'm going to use my trowel and I'm just going to punch a hole in the bag, in the top of the bag, very carefully, not ripping the whole bag because I don't want it to spill out. And so carefully tearing that top open so that I can get my trowel in there, and I'm going to show you what this looks like. So basically worm castings are worm poop, and essentially it looks like little round castings, and this is really great for the soil. So the nutrients that I like to add to my beds are the compost, the organic compost. A little bit of worm castings have been showed to increase the immunity systems of the plants. And so plants that are grown with worm castings tend to repel pests and diseases more than plants grown without it. So I like to add it in. And the bag says to sprinkle about 12 trowelfuls for this particular size bed. So you'll want to look at your bag. It will give some sort of recommendation for how much to use for vegetables. And there are other nutrients that you might want to use as well. Sometimes people like to put some rock dust into their beds, and here's what that looks like. Rock dust is basically adding micronutrients to your soil if you aren't sure if your soil has them, and you just want to add them in trace amounts. And then basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to come through with my rake, and I'm going to just carefully rake all that stuff together. I'm not worried about mixing it into the soil below because I know that the plants will do that over time. So you can just add the stuff right to the top. It's quite all right. If you feel like your soil is brand new and you're already mixing it up anyway, if you're bringing in new soil, you might as well put the compost and the worm castings and all of that a little bit below the surface. All right, so next step is that I want to add a little bit of pre-irrigation. Everything I just put down was very dry, and so I want to make sure that the bed is moist when I'm ready to plant into it. And so here I am very carefully using my hose. I'm not spraying directly into the bed at a short distance. I'm up above the bed and I'm kind of gently raining down on the bed, and I'm going back and forth very systematically to make sure that I cover all areas equally with that water so that when I go to transplant, I'm going to have a nice moist bed. And there you go. Now your planting bed is ready for you to transplant and seed.